I guess the big question everyone's asking is, are we nearing a point when we'll actually see legislation or action to sort of alter the state of play?
Yeah, I really do think so, because even before the events of January 6th, both parties, for different reasons, were convinced that Facebook and other platforms are out to get them. Democrats felt like it created too much opportunity for Trump to win in 2016. Republicans feel like there's an anti-conservative bias. So kind of no matter what your view is, you already see a problem. And then January 6th literally was the use of these platforms that put the lives of members of Congress in danger and at risk, and they felt that in a very real and tangible way. So you put all that together, and I think it's inevitable. So the question just becomes between Section 230, privacy, antitrust, which is the one that can get the most bipartisan support.
So does it drastically force them to change their business models in a way that will hit the stock prices, or is it going to be tweaked?
Well, it depends what they do. But if you take the three big categories, they all very much threaten to do that, right? So antitrust, let's use Facebook as an example here. If Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook all become separate companies, that might change your view of how you see the overall entity. Now, maybe three separate companies listed actually end up being worth more money at the end of the day. I don't know, but it's a very structural, fundamental change. If it's privacy and Facebook all of a sudden didn't have the ability to monetize users' data in the way they have now, that really changes their revenue, because all of their money comes from their ability to tell advertisers things about you that they then use to try to sell things back to you. Or third, if Section 230 is repealed, and what that does is it protects Facebook and the other platforms from legal liability for what people say on the platform. If all of a sudden now they can be sued, you're going to see lots and lots of class action suits, lots of litigation. That's going to cost a lot of money. And it's ultimately going to have to change the way that they allow content on the platform. And the less kind of controversial the content, the less eyeballs you get.
I just wonder how these platforms are going to look, Brad, when this is all over. I don't know if you saw Chrissy Teigen left Twitter, which to me was a big deal because she was an amazing tweeter. Yeah. And had millions of followers, and she was sick of the harassment and the negativity. So is that something eliminating Section 230 is going to deal with? What's the engagement and the users when all this is done?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to cut both ways. So on one hand, if you were to eliminate Section 230, I think the internet becomes a nicer place, right? Because right now it is just a rough place. And I think I have teenage kids. I think any parent with kids that age can tell you how concerned they are about it. So that's the upside. The downside would be, by being nicer, it means it's kinder and gentler, and there's less controversial things being said and less fighting and less criticism. And ultimately, whether we like this part of human nature or not, controversy and fighting drives attention. It drives eyeballs. It drives clicks. And that's what ultimately makes advertisers want to pay a lot of money to reach Facebook customers. So I think it does ultimately have a really material effect on the company and the share price.
How likely do you think that is, that whole hog abolish 230 or come close to abolish?
Probably not entirely likely, but then if you wanted to be kind of bearish on Facebook around this issue, their challenge is you've got Congress who's really upset with them, as we saw today, but also Biden's agencies could do a lot on 230 without any sort of congressional approval. So there's lots of different ways that this thing can change. And as a result, I think if I were Facebook, or quite frankly, anyone in the social media space, I'd be preparing for a world where those liability protections are no longer available.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.